Hey everyone, welcome back to another Pokémon ROM Hack review. Recently, I just finished the demo for Pokémon Darkfire, an Emerald ROM hack led by Carl and Ray that is set in a brand new region east of Hoenn called the Tenjo region. It boasts a new storyline revolving around odd and dangerous phenomena, a new team called Secret Underground Battle Organization, and a rival that ends up on a mysterious path. Alongside the new story comes many features as well, as shown in the frame. Without further ado, let's just review Pokémon Darkfire. The game starts off pretty dark right away, as the first sequence of the game puts you in a void-like setting where you immediately meet the game's evil team. In the cutscene, it is quickly established what kind of tone the storyline's direction will be shown in, as you see a Feraligatr get cooked on screen. Literally. Shortly after, you find that it is merely a dream or premonition, and your adventure officially begins. You explore the Tenjo region, help various town locals, and occasionally run into your rival and the evil team members, like in all mainline Pokemon games. Along the way, you'll hear custom music that I think turned out pretty good. Some are even quite familiar. There's a new UI to navigate through as you make your way across the land, a quest log feature to track specific requests of individuals, and also new backdrops during battles in the various environments of the Tenjo region. One thing you'll notice, and quite abruptly too if I might say, is that instead of the usual gym leaders, players will face off against town or city champions instead. After defeating them, you'll acquire HMs to help you further your exploration. Like with HMs, TMs in this game have infinite uses. Thank you. As for the difficulty of the game, I think it's average level with a few surprises here and there. In this demo at least, there shouldn't be anything rage-inducing. With everything established, let's begin with what I felt the game did well and stood out to me. Right away, the first thing that I thought the game did well was the music. I'm not entirely sure how original the game's soundtrack is, but in terms of making or converting songs with the Gen 3 sound font, the devs did a good job in the pieces they chose for the game. It can be sinister, adventurous, or serene. Almost makes you forget that it's a Pokemon game at times. Next thing I felt the game did well was its character sprites. Once again, I'm not sure how original these sprites are, since it's pretty common within the ROM hack community that assets are reused or flipped by multiple projects, but at least these are easy on the eye. Aside from Rose's giant hair. Personally, I feel like the art style really fits and conveys traditional pixel art character designs pretty well. Also, about Rose's hair, I'm not sure if it's intended for her bust sprite to have blue highlights, while her overworld and full sprite both have a rose pink color instead. Maybe you guys should check that out. Also, infinite use of TMs. Thank you once again. I feel so hindered when I have to treat every TM like a sacred relic to be bestowed upon the chosen one. Anyways, the most outstanding thing for me is pretty obvious, the overworld. I haven't played that many unique custom ROM hacks, but this one really competes with the fan games made with RPG Maker. The tile sets are vivid and detailed, which really makes exploring the Tenjo region a fresh breath of air. Which is a great point to pivot into the cons of the game, or elements I feel could be improved. While I just mentioned the overworld is pleasant to the eye, I feel that some areas could have put a little more thought into their layout. Or in some cases, they thought a little too hard. So in general, the maps in this game are pretty big. I'm talking towns, routes, and dungeons. For towns, one small nitpick I have is that the marts feel a bit too far from the Pokemon Center, often resulting in having to run across town just to buy perhaps a few Pokeballs or such. Additionally, I feel that the game's map layouts are too heavily designed to trap and confuse the player. I get it, there's an urge to spice up map design to outshine the mainline games. However, when a dungeon or route ends up having about 5 or more different paths to choose from, it often ends up pretty frustrating, especially when most of them lead to a dead end or a cliff jump that forces you to circle back around to advance or try again. Wait a minute. Dead end? Most paths lead to items. Yeah, a potion. Hooray! A repel that is gone in 50 steps, aka 10 seconds. One thing I personally cannot stand is useless or underwhelming items found in any game, which is usually the case with most, if not all, ROM hacks, so don't take it too personally. But please, won't somebody make items exciting to find? If I'm going to have to do some hippity-hoppity across rocks where one slip could end me, at least give me an evolution stone, or a damage boost item. not a potion or a Pokeball. Furthermore, another personal gripe of mine is storytelling. I've seen it, you've seen it. Bad guy yapping their entire life story at the protagonist and revealing all of their evil plans, which usually ends up giving away how to stop them. Like, I am a young novice trainer with barely a Pikachu. Just beat me up and send me home already. Enough with the tropes, enough with following every predictable plot to the dot. If these people want to be bad, let them be bad. Not super edgelords pretending to be hard and wise, because no one's buying that, especially with their pathetic Pokemon. Honestly, it's not just the story that's lackluster for me, it's also the gameplay. I've played through enough Emerald ROM hacks over the years to where seeing a Pokédex with only up to Gen 3 just feels so not fun to play through. Yes, the game includes evolutions of Pokemon that evolve in later generations, but I still don't think that's enough when even up to a little after the 3rd champion already, most encounters are still Pidgey, Rattata, Zigzagoons, and other fodder Pokemon. As grand as the music and environment makes the game feel, seeing Pidgeys and scrubbed Pokemon over and over again just make it feel so ordinary like the mainline games.
Jinx.
Even if you find a magical unicorn after 10 minutes of trash encounters, would you want to spend even more time training it when your starter and maybe one other Pokemon are already obliterating the content? That's up to you to decide, because you don't get the experience share until pretty late in the demo, and even then, it's the old experience share. The one that shares experience with only one other Pokemon. I never quite understood why people passionately argue that experience share makes the game easier. If a player is going to use one Pokemon, they can easily destroy the game with one Pokemon regardless of experience share or not. Giving multiple Pokemon experience just allows people to experiment with Pokemon that they would otherwise have to invest more hours into train individually. Hours which some people don't have. Should it be toggleable? Sure, I guess if you have time. But to impose the archaic style of leveling up with such a beautiful and advanced game just feels like dragging it a million steps back. Speaking of steps back, Iron Tail.
What is that?
Come on guys, don't you feel a little bad for these moves? Would you happily and willingly use these moves yourself for your Pokemon? You devs have the power to fix this. Items, experience, moves. You can fix these, make them better, and more importantly, make them yours. Elite Redux's Iron Tail has 90 base power, but 100 accuracy. Pretty solid. What about Darkfire's Iron Tail? Oh, still the worthless 75 accuracy base Iron Tail. Ouch. They don't need to be drastic, but I feel like something should be done in all ROM hacks towards moves that are so pathetically obsolete, not just the examples used prior. This about sums up my final thoughts so far for the Pokémon Darkfire demo. I think this ROM hack has potential for sure, but at this point, I feel like I'm just playing a fancy Pokémon Emerald. Its outstanding visuals, popping music, and event implementations make it feel very modern, yet its core gameplay makes it feel pretty outdated at the same time. I honestly feel like a proper tag that a lot of ROM hacks should consider including is authentic Pokémon experience, because that's what this ROM hack feels like. This isn't necessarily a bad thing though, because some of you may be looking for just that, a modernized blast of the past. Unfortunately, that's not what I'm after. The devs are onto something nice, but I feel like it just needs that to kick it to the top. Once again, if you feel like I missed or overlooked some great features of the game, let me know in the comments. I'd really appreciate any insight, and I'm sure the viewers will too. Bye bye.